Going live. Going live. We are live. Let's see. Camera is sitting right. Yes, that's correct. That's good. All right. Welcome back to our channel, Modeling Success Successfully. I'm your host, Mkhitar. Today's podcast is going to be around business topic. As you already read the title, how I build a successful business in 2021 from zero customers. And that was actually middle of pandemic. It was January 1st, 2020. So January 1st, 2020, that's going to basically put you right in the no, actually, there you go. Because of the pandemic, I got my years confused, as a matter of fact. It was January 1st, 2021. Year flies by fast. I can't believe we're going into the second year of pandemic already. That's how behind I am as far as keeping up with the date. And that explains the reason of this podcast, because I've been very, very busy with the new business that we opened, the wholesale business that we opened, which the topic is going to be about that today. How I opened the business in January 1st of 2021 this year, and how it's going, how we're on pace of doing 350,000 plus this year alone, which is the first year from zero customers, going from middle of the pandemic. So first things first, let me actually bring over the whiteboard and put over a few things on the whiteboard so you guys can get a chance to see exactly what I'm talking about. So give me 1 second. Let's set up this. All right. So let's put that chair over there. Let's see how it shows up over here. Is that good? Does that show? How good is that? Let's see. Let's see how it shows up on TV. That's not bad. Can we get that to be bigger? Gotta go back. So let's put more spots. There we go. How about now? A lot better. We can move the camera back as well. Give ourselves more room. There we go. I think this works. Right there. No, camera place was perfect. All right, we got this. There you go. That right there is perfect. You guys can see it. Very good. Very good. So I'm gonna put the mic up too, so you guys can hear me well while we're doing this. And as a matter of fact, I can use the chair so we can at the same time be on it too. So there you go. Is it better this way if we bring it a little like this? Better? Yeah, much better. So here you go, guys. I'm gonna show you exactly how I made my business middle of the pandemic go from zero customers to making on the pace of $350,000. First things first, get this over here so I can write it from the right side. How I built a successful business in 2021. And I want to emphasize that we went from zero to currently 93 customers. We started January 1st. Let me start Jan 1st, 2021. That is when I started. January 1st of this year, 2021. And I'm gonna show you exactly. Can you guys see it? It's not bad, right? let me see. Let's do like this. Let's Here we go. So I can follow exactly how it looks on TV. It's not bad. Let me try to bring it forward a little. That's better. That's a little better. All right. So first things first. What did I do? Right in the beginning, January 1st came. It was in the middle of pandemic. We decided that, you know what? We were in a retail business before that, and that was actually doomed as non-essential, as a non-essential business. So as a non-essential business, we were actually told by the city, Los Angeles health department, to shut down so we could um, curve the the virus, the spread of the virus, and we obviously followed suit. We closed it down. What that did is it killed the retail market completely, and it's been ever since. Everyone is struggling to return back. 50% of the business is gone ever since. However, let's get back to the point. Just a little history of where I come from, so you know where this information is coming from. I'm not just talking out of nowhere. This comes from the experience I've had, throughout my career. I've been I've been working for myself past 13 years, and I was in a service field business, and then transitioned into item based business. And as far as retail, we were dealing with an end consumer, meaning we're dealing with the people who actually buy it and use it. They don't go ahead and turn around and sell it again. So we were the retail store, and we were dealing with an end user. Pandemic happened, the retail stores were, the most of them were deemed non-essential. Therefore, we transitioned into an essential business. An essential business at the time, I looked around and asked myself, what are the essential businesses here? What kind of essential business I can get into that the city department, health department, can look at it and say, these they do essential businesses stay open, and because they provide the goods and services to the public that is needed even during pandemic. When I looked around, I realized that wholesale was one of the businesses that was essential. You got your 7-Elevens were open. A lot of people, including myself, were confused because 7-Elevens were considered technically a retail store, and they were staying open during pandemic. But however, after doing some research and ask around, you realize that it all came down to the people who decide the titles on the businesses, whether this business is essential, that business is non-essential. Therefore, the one stays open, one doesn't. At the time, whichever business had a health department clearance. If you live in America, if you live in California, you would notice that restaurants have this permits that rate the restaurant cleanness, so on and so forth, maintenance. Usually, you'll see a white paper, and it says with blue letters A or B or whatever the rating is. That paper is given by the health department. So businesses that had that health clearance were clearly going through under different paperwork and procedures and qualifications to obtain their licenses to open their doors for public than, for example, I and the 90% of the businesses were doing it at the time. Hence why that was the decision maker, that these businesses are going to be essential and those businesses are going to be non-essential. Hence why these businesses can stay open and those businesses need to close. So that decision was not made by the people at the health department. They just woke up and said, "Oh, we're going through pandemic. We gotta curb the virus, so therefore we have to do something." So they and flipped a coin and decided, "Let's go this way." No, not at all. In the beginning, a lot of people got confused about that. They thought it's done like that, but after really looking a little deeper into it, you realize that they really went after businesses who did not go under thorough clearance and licensing process upon opening their businesses versus the other ones did. Hence why whoever already had the health department clearance, they were more keen to keeping the businesses and customers clean than the businesses that did not go through those procedures. That's why they went from essential to non-essential. Long story short, that's when, once I understood the difference of essential and non-essential, that's when I made a decision. I want to be in an essential business as well, because first of all, we don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. Second of all, We don't know if this is the first one. Well, we know for sure this is the first one, but we don't know if there's going to be second, third, or fourth. We don't know. Nobody knows the future. Obviously, I pray to God it never happens, and I'm pretty sure most of you, if not all of you guys, feel the same way. So that's not the case at all. But it's better to keep it realistic, and it's better to be ready and nothing happen than be not ready and then be caught off surprise, especially in business. So on that note, I decided to go into the wholesale business. Wholesale business, we basically did the following. Once the retail store closed, we had to go ahead and service our customers somehow. So through the wholesale accounts that were essential, we set up accounts that could be delivered to our customers through the wholesale. When that was happening, we were getting, yes, about 90% of our cash flow was low, 95% of our cash flow was down, but there was that 5%. That 5% cash flow within 2 months that we were shut down, we were able to accumulate a couple of $1,000, about $8,000. So the reason I'm mentioning that $8,000 is simple because that's going to be the seed money, and $8,000 here. Let's do this. $8,000 is going to be the seed money, and that's something that you're going to actually need to pay attention to. So start seed. So start money, seed money. Let's put it this way. Seed money, 8,000. This is the money we were able to accumulate after doing 2 months of deliveries while we were shut down during the pandemic. With this 8,000, once the retail stores opened up halfway, meaning we were able to do curbside, we were actually trying to get the business back. But ever since, we're still trying. It's a work in progress. But however, the wholesale, we were able to get $8,000 doing deliveries. With that $8,000, we decided to get into the wholesale business, not knowing what the future holds. So, in order to get a wholesale, in order to get into a wholesale business, you need to ask yourself multiple questions. Um, Even if you're getting in a retail business, you need to ask yourself multiple questions. However, I'm going to talk about how I did it, and you can figure out how you can implement it in however you're doing. If you happen to have any questions, you can comment down below and let me know. I'll do my best to answer. But this is what I did. From the $8,000, you obviously have to incorporate your business. Now, I decided to go with an LLC. And for if you're not sure about the terms that I'm using, then definitely write them down and do a research on your own time and talk to your accountant, because I'm not giving you any business advice, accounting advice. I'm just sharing with the things that I've done and how they're working for me. So out of the 8,000, I decided to incorporate the business, the wholesale business. In order to the reason I decided to do this is because I'm looking at long term. I want to have, for example, let's say 500 customers in let's say 2 years from now. In order to do that, customers are going to need to write you checks, therefore you need to pay taxes, and the best way of doing that is by incorporating your business. So I decided to go with an LLC. So in LLC, let's say LLC, it's going to cost you $1,500 to open an LLC. So minus 1,500 out of that. And then next thing you needed to do, you need to obviously get your licensing. Whatever business you do, you need to obtain your proper licensing with your city, state, and make sure that you are covering all the areas around, because there are cities like city of Los Angeles that, for example, you have a certain license for the state, and since you're doing a business in the city of Los Angeles, that same exact license with similar fees, if not identical, you need to obtain for the city of LA as well, alongside. So basically, same. It ends up costing you double. Long story short, you need to figure out where you're doing business in and what type of business you're doing, hence why what kind of permit you need to obtain. In my case, it cost me about $1,500 to obtain the proper licensings for me to legally make a transaction and sell to make a wholesale transaction to a retail store, not an end user. Now we're selling to retail stores, and retail stores are selling it to an end user. End user is the consumer. So that's what it is. So another minus another $1,500. This $1,500 we already mentioned. That's gonna go towards your fees. So you're left with $5,000. So that $5,000 that you're left with over here, that $5,000 is going to be the money, the entire money you have to invest in the new business that you're going forwards. That was the position I was in January of 2021. This, I wanted to open a wholesale business, and I wanted to do that with as minimal money as possible, and I wanted to do that with as minimal expense as possible. Why? Because I know if I'm able to make a business successful with minimal capital, once the business proves itself right, when you invest more capital in it or reinvest the capital that you make, you're going to create a snowball effect, and snowball effect is slowly going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's where we're at. We've been doing this since January 1st. We're in November of 13th, 14th today, and everything, knock on wood, is going good. We're averaging about $30,000 a month gross sales, and that's after discounts. So the reason I'm saying that, we were doing actually $0 up until then, and we decided to start with the $5,000. Now, $5,000, you have multiple ways to go. All right, talking a little over here. I need to take a little break too. So $5,000 to go. What you want to do is you want to quickly figure out your assets and your liabilities. If you're not familiar what the asset is, what the liability is, then definitely write that down also, assets, liabilities, and do a research on what they stand for. And if you're familiar with it, then it's going to make more sense to you. But however, either way, I want you to pay attention. You need to figure out your assets and liabilities. It is very, very important to keep the ratio of your money coming in versus the money going out. I want you to think of it as a swimming pool. If the swimming pool has a hole in it size of this marker, and the swimming pool is filling up with water from the top with double the size of the marker, that swimming pool will never run out of water. In fact, it will overflow. Same thing, I want you to look at it as assets and liabilities. Liability is that small marker, sharpie size hole on the bottom of the swimming pool. That's your liability. That's what takes money out of your pocket. Assets is that double size of the sharpie from the top, pouring more water in the pool. So from the bottom that is leaking down, it still offsets, and in fact, it overflows. The goal is for your business to do the same, but instead of water, it's going to represent the cash. So hence why it's called the cash flow. You want to make sure your business always has more water coming in, more cash coming in. There's more cash flow in than cash flow out. In order to do that, the best way to do that, from my experience, is by having a tight grip on the expenses from the start of that business. And when I'm saying from the get, I'm not talking about from the time when you get your corporation papers. I'm talking about from the time when it's in your head, and it's you're brainstorming, you're deciding what to do and how to go about it. I'm talking about at that time. So in order to do that, you need to figure out what your assets and liabilities are. Assets, liabilities is going to be, what money comes in, what money goes out. In my case, I decided that I'm going to do the work. I'm not going to hire anybody. And in this case, I'm going to be the person that goes out, gets the customers. I'm going to be the person that reorders the products. I'm going to be the person that picks the products up from the factory and delivers it to our warehouse. I'm going to be the person to the package. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the person to package the products and take it to our customers. I'm also going to be the person making sure the finances and accounting is handled properly, and account and dealing with the accountants. So I'm going to be those are the top positions I mentioned. There's sub positions under them as well. If you've done a business, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's simpler said than done. However, it is doable, and many people are successful, and you could be very well one of them, if not even more successful. It all gonna depends on all the brainstorming that you're going to do, and it's all going to depend on how well you can balance your assets and liabilities, and how well you can balance your risk and reward, because the risk tolerance is very important in business. If you don't have risk tolerance, you need to learn how to have it, because that's what's going to determine the speed of your business's growth as well. You need to have very high risk tolerance, because business, think about it, 95% of the businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years. 95% of the businesses fail. Why? That's not because they're doing bad business. There is no such thing as bad business. Understand that. If there's one thing that you should take out of this podcast, is the following: get rid of the understanding that there is such thing as bad business. There isn't. There is bad business people. The business is bad. The business is not bad. The people managing are bad at managing. So there's a difference in that. If you're looking at a business and you feel that you can do better than the person doing it, you may very well be right. However, that comes with its own challenges and consistencies, so on and so forth. But if you're someone who's not shy from hard work and dedication and smart work, ultimately, then my friend, America is the land of opportunities for you, because that's how I see it. Bottom line, we had 5,000 to go. $5,000. Now we decided to go selling items, wholesaling out items. Wholesaling out items to retail stores. In the beginning, since 2015, the first retail store. 2011, I was in a service business. We had a car wash, big car wash, 11,000 square feet. After 2 years, we sold it. We got into retail business. Man, retail business, everything was going well. We're expanding, and next thing we know, pandemic happened, and we realized there's such thing as essential and non-essential. We decided to go with essential wholesale business. Now we wanted to this sell. We had the idea of wholesale, but we didn't know the item, what item to sell. I had a few options. I could have done gone in a different field and started a completely new wholesale niche, or got into a completely new niche, or getting to a wholesale in the niche that I've been doing retail as. The reason that made the more sense to me is because now I can have wholesale where our own retail stores can shop from. At the same time, the our own retail stores that we had, our competition, other retail stores next to us that were around us, those customers can also shop from us. Now they're not just competition taking money from us. Now we're partners, because the customer, instead of buying it from us, let's say they decide to go buy it over there sometimes, we're not losing money on that anymore either, because that customer may very well end up buying the item that store bought it from our wholesale. So that's what that we decided to go in a wholesale in the same field that our retail stores were in. And that move was actually one of the very smartest move we could have done, because what it did multiple things. Instead of we're spending our time learning a whole complete new field, we actually already knew the field. All we had to do is go out and get the customers. Now, how do you go out and get the customers as retail stores? It's either very simple, or it's either very complicated. It depends on whoever's doing it. To me, I think it's very simple. It's just a matter of hard work. Plain and simple grinding, old school door knocking, hard work. I swear to God, it's plain and simple like that. What I decided to do, instead of going after Yelp accounts, instead of going after Google accounts, instead of going after coupons and so on and so forth, advertising, going instead of going after celebrities and so on and so forth to possibly push the item out, what I decided to do, I decided to go right direct to the person who has the money, who is going to make the money, who is also going to make the decision of whether that item should be in their retail store for their customers or not. So I decided to go directly to the source. That was another good decision that actually I made. So what happened was I set a goal. If I if I'm going to see 10 to 15 customers, 10 if I'm able to go to 10 to 15 businesses per day, provide my item and make a deal with them, then most likely if I do it well, I'll have anywhere from 10 to 20% closing ratio, and I'm putting it at the absolute lowest. I'm going with the bottom numbers, and reality end up being 3 to 4 times actually better, but I'm calculating with the low bottom numbers. And if I see 10 to 15 customers and I close, let's say 15-20% of them, you're looking at 1 to 3 customers a day. If I can close 1 to 3 customers a day, then you're looking at each customer assuming going to buy about $800 worth. So let's say each each customer buys $800. I'm gonna put a line like this so we'll know it's separate. Let's say each customer buys about $800, all right? And you have 5,000 to go. 5,000. Now let's do a quick calculation. Let's take out the calculation real quick and see what's going on. We have $5,000. Now this actually, I didn't do it in the beginning. I learned it afterwards. If I did this in the beginning, I would have been able to grow the business a lot faster. And I'm going to let you guys know so you can actually avoid doing the mistake I did, and you can actually catapult your business to the and create that frog lip effect for your business to the next level. What I did was each customer, I assume they're going to do $800 worth of product buying from me. Now that number it sounds good, but what I could have done is I could have cut that number in half and done it in 400. And I could have had the one customer cost me $400 instead of $800. Now that's bittersweet because at the end you make more, at the same time your risk is higher. So I learned that afterwards. I'm going to give you an example on the number that actually is going to be a lot more business savvy and business efficient from the wholesale owner perspective. So we have $5,000 initial seed money to play with after spending the $3,000 acquiring the incorporation and getting our proper licensings. After that, our goal is to get 400 to spend $400 to sign up a per retail store. A single retail store is going to be our customer. So if we get the $5,000 and we divide that, let's do this. Divide that $400. Divide that 400. That's going to give us 12.5. So that's going to give us 12.5, 12 and a half. Let's count 12 customers. That's going to give us 12 customers. So we're going to put 12 customers. So that's going to give us 12 customers. Keep that in mind. So with $5,000, we're able to sign up 12 customers. If we're going to see if we're going to see 10 to 15 stores a day to pitch our product, then our closing ratio is 10 to 20%. We're getting about 1 to 3 stores a day. If we do that, let's say one store a day. If we do that 1 week, Monday through Friday, 5 days only out of 7 days, that's going to be the list five customers, assuming five customers. Now, if you do that for 2 weeks, you're going to be at 10 customers. And if you do that for 12 days, you do that 12 days, you'll be at 12 customers. You're going to have your $5,000 reinvested back. Now, the way I did was my initial goal was to buy the product, assuming. Now, this is we just figured out. I'm going to show you another formula. This one we just figured out how many customers we need to have, buying how much in order for our 5,000 can be invested at the maximum. Now, what I want us to find out another thing is how soon. How much money we're going to make on the 5,000. If we invest 5,000 and we can get the 12 customers, what would the 5,000 be after selling it to them? Let's figure that out. And I'm going to give you the exact numbers that we're doing. Well, not exact numbers. The numbers are going to be, mine are going to be a little different on a different scale than this one. So this one, I'm going to make it round so it can make better sense instead of with cents and with 37.84 and stuff. So I'll make it round numbers so calculations will be easier. Now, assuming cost of goods we buy is $50, and then assuming cost of goods we sell is assuming $80. Now, what we need to figure out is how many $50 we can buy with $5,000 investment, because we already figured out how much the per store needs to buy and how many stores we need to get that. But what we need to figure out is how many items can we get with that initial investment, which is 5. So in order to do that, we're gonna get that 5,000. We're gonna get the let me do it with the blue one. In order to figure that out, you're gonna need to figure out your 5,000 divided by 50, and you're gonna figure out 5,000 divided by 50, 100. 100 is going to be the number of how many you're gonna have 100 items basically at $50 per item. Now, next thing you want to figure out your profit margin. Your profit margin is going to be not profit margin. Next thing you want to figure out is your profit. Your cost is $50. You're selling it at $80, so your profit is $30. Now, how many times are you going to do that? 100 times, because that's how much you can, how much money you got. Now, if your profit is $30, what you're going to do is you're going to get profit, which is 30. Oh, that's a messed up 30. Let me clean that so it'll be cleaner. So profit will be $30, which is the difference, multiplied 100 times, and you're gonna be at $3,000. So basically, when you're investing $5,000, you're buying 100 items at $50 each item. And then when you sell that item, you're going to have $30 difference. You're gonna sell it at 80. Afterwards, you're going to have 3,000 profit. So what you're going to do, you're gonna have this original number added over here as well, and 5K. You're going to end up with $8,000. Now, what you did is you got that 5,000 and you turned it into $8,000. Now, the next question is, how soon can you do this? You can do it in a month, you can do it in a day, you can do it in an hour. When you figure that out, that's going to give you an answer to when you're going to be able to grow the money. In my case, some people might look at my speed and say, wow, that's fast. Growing a business from zero to $350,000 in the first year is very fast. Score. Good job. Some people might look at it and say, that's not much. I could have done 3.5, or I could have done 35 million, or I could have made it into 350 million in the first year. It depends who the business person is, how much capital they got, and what their risk tolerance is, and what the cash flow is. For me, number one priority is to keep my overhead low, keep the liabilities low, keep the money flowing out low. Number two reason is, how fast can I grow my money? Now we're at $8,000. In my case, I was able to do this in actually the first week. In 1 week, I was actually able to make 5,000 into 8,000. What I did was I rinsed and repeat the process. I got the 8,000, and when you get the 8,000, you divide it by $50 a cost of your item. Now you're left with, now you have 116, no, 8,000, yeah, 160. Now you have 160 boxes, let's call it. You remember how your 5,000 was buying you 100 boxes, and your 100 boxes at $30 a profit, you got your 3,000 profit. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now your 8,000 at the $50 a box cost is going to get you 160 boxes, and 160 boxes at multiply that 30 is going to get you, let's do 160 multiplied by 30 is going to get you $4,800. Now, $4,800. Now you made $4,800. Last time you made $3,000. Now you made $4,800. Why that happened? Because last time you invested 5,000. This time you invested 8,000. So what you want to do is rinse and repeat. Now your total money in your hand, the total money in your hand should be 4,800 plus 8,000. So you're going to be at 12,800. Now you turn the 5,000 into 12,800. The question is, how soon can you do it? And I was able to do that the second week, actually. Hence why we're going on a speed of doing 350,000 a year. As a matter of fact, today we had a meeting, and Sunday morning, 11 a.m. meeting. We had, that's why we had to reschedule the podcast. I know it was scheduled for 11 a.m. We had to reschedule it to do it at 1 p.m. because of the meeting that came up. But the bottom line is, by the time I went to the meeting and came back to prepare for the podcast, we received two more orders, and those both orders combined are going to be over. No, actually, I'm sorry. We two orders and two orders every Monday. We're just restock our stores restock. So tomorrow we're expected to do anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 wholesale transactions in a single day. That's why currently we're on a pace of doing. So over here, I'll put it. We're making about 30K a month multiplied by 12 is gonna left you with 360K gross. These are sales. These are before taxes, obviously, we're speaking. So for the business that opened up January 1st from zero, I think that's going to be a successful one. As a matter of fact, we are next month hiring our first employee, and we're expanding. Until now, I was the only person doing everything, but now business has enough consistent cash flow to expand the liability. Remember what I was telling you in the beginning of podcast? It's all about controlling your assets and your liabilities. So in order to do that, you need to make sure your cash flow increases. Your cash flow increases, you give it more time, it becomes consistent. You add a little liability in a sense of you have to control where that expense goes. If you're going to spend that money towards a person or towards a system that's going to make the business much better, then I say spend the last penny to make the business better. When you do things like that, you help your business to grow even further, to become even more successful. That's why right now, since we're having consistent income coming in, let me get this a little closer. That highlight is killing it. That's why, since we have consistent cash flow coming in, I want to make sure that money flows right back into the business, into the team member who is going to come in, help us with the deliveries, help us with the reordering, help us with the packaging, help us with the shipping, and help us acquiring with more customers. Now, once we do that, we're successful. What's going to happen is we're going to get the second individual to join the team to rinse and repeat the process. Since what we're doing, it's simple, it's not complicated. And I want to actually let you guys know about that as well. See, when you're doing business, when you're thinking about opening a business, do yourself a favor. Do not complicate the process. Whatever you're planning, always keep in mind that there is the reality who's going to tell you, oh, yes, you're right. You guessed it right, how it's going to turn out to be. Or it's going to tell you, these things were, you were right, these things you were wrong. It is up to you to pay attention, listen, understand, hence why you can adapt, adjust, and persevere. And for me to able to do this and share with you guys my losses and my wins, my successes and my hurdles, for me is a blessing, because YouTube is one of the places I've gained most of the knowledge, and obviously the real world is the only place that I implemented it and I got the results from. Hence why some things are working, some things are not working. But what I did was worked. I went out, I saw the customers, I put in the work, and it worked. If you're looking to do business, if you want to do something like that, I highly encourage you to put the wheels in motion, get it going. What's the worst going to happen? You're going to lose money. People are starving all over the world. We have the luxury to have some money to risk it. We'll make it again. It's not the end of the world. So that's why, if you want to do something, go ahead and do it. Don't wait for a second. The sooner you do it, the sooner you'll know whether that was the right idea or the wrong idea. And on that note, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, I want you to comment below. Let me know what you think about the breakdown and how I made zero. I went from zero customers to making 350,000 plus a year in the first year, middle of pandemic, as a wholesale business from scratch. And and this is, please know that it's not a brag. This is just something to let you know that, hey, look, I'm an immigrant. English is my third language, and if I can do it, you can do it. Everybody can do it. The only thing that's holding us back is the story we tell ourselves. You know that. I'm sure you've heard it elsewhere. That is not my saying, and I'm not taking credit for it. I just love it. It makes sense, and it has a punch to it. And I want you to, if you like it, then use it as well. If you change the story that you're telling yourself, you're gonna change the tangible things around you as well. On that note, I want to share this. I couldn't find a shorter version of this video. My apologies, but so I'm gonna try to keep this video short, and I want to share with you guys Ray Dalio's "How the Economic Machine Works." And this is a really, really nice video that's going to put things perspective, what I said, and it's going to help you understand how the economic machine works. How the machine works. There you go. There you go. This one. Let me open it and then I will share the screen with you guys as well. Here we go. Let's stop this. Okay, see, my camera is acting up. That's because, so that's what it is. Every time I connect an external file to the what do you call it, to the podcast, it messes up. So I'm going to change the camera to our laptop, so this way at least we can have an uninterrupted video. And this way, share screen, tab, this one, there we go. Okay.
It has helped me to anticipate and to sidestep the global financial crisis. And it is
Let's rewind.
How the economic machine works in 30 minutes.
Okay. Good. There we go. How the economic machine works by Ray Dalio. This is a really, really nice video that puts things in perspective.
The economy works like a simple machine, but many people don't understand it, or they don't agree on how it works. And this has led to a lot of needless economic suffering. I feel a deep sense of responsibility to share my simple but practical economic template. Though it's unconventional, it has helped me to anticipate and to sidestep the global financial crisis, and it has worked well for me for over 30 years. Let's begin. Though the economy might seem complex, it works in a simple mechanical way. It's made up of a few simple parts and a lot of simple transactions that are repeated over and over again a zillion times. These transactions are above all else driven by human nature, and they create three main forces that drive the economy.
Yep.
Number one, productivity growth. Number two, the short-term debt cycle. And number three, the long-term debt cycle. We'll look at these three forces and how laying them on top of each other creates a good template for tracking economic movements and figuring out what's happening now. Let's start with the simplest part of the economy, transactions. An economy is simply the sum of the transactions that make it up, and a transaction is a very simple thing. You make transactions all the time. Every time you buy something, you create a transaction. Each transaction consists of a buyer exchanging money or credit with a seller for goods, services, or financial assets. Credit spends just like money, so adding together the money spent and the amount of credit spent, you can know the total spending. The total amount of spending drives the economy. If you divide the amount spent by the quantity sold, you get the price. And that's it. That's a transaction. It's the building block of the economic machine.
It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. That's what I wanted you to see. That's what I wanted you to see here. I'm going to replay it, and I want you to pay attention. It's literally going to be 30 seconds, and this is in entirely summarizes what you need to figure out. After figuring this out, you need to figure out what kind of items you want to get into, and once you know what kind of items you want to get into, and keeping this how the world economic machine works, you're going to be good to go. You're not going to need anything else. Let's check it out one last time together.
An economy is simply the sum of the transactions that make it up. And a transaction is a very simple thing. You make transactions all the time. Every time you buy something, you create a transaction. Each transaction consists of a buyer exchanging money or credit with a seller for goods, services, or financial assets. Credit spends just like money, so adding together the money spent and the amount of credit spent, you can know the total spending.
Yep.
The total amount of spending drives the economy.
Yep.
If you divide the amount spent by the quantity sold, you get the price. And that's it. That's a transaction. It's the building block of the economic machine.
That's right. All cycles and all forces in an economy are driven by transactions. Very true. So that's I said in the beginning of the podcast, guys. You need to figure out: do you want to get in a service field business, or you want to get in an item field business, or you want to get in a stocks and commodities and assets field business. I decided to transition from service to items, and I got into the wholesale business, knowing it was essential. So you need to figure out what kind of items you want to get into. You want to get in what kind of services you want to get into, or what kind of assets you want to get into. From there, you want to figure out what you want to do: retail, wholesale, or what you want to do. And if you want to watch this again, I highly recommend you watching it, because there are many great examples that are going to basically give you the nooks and crannies of how to run a business, how to do it successfully, and at the end of the day, keep the family and not worry about how you're going to pay the rent for this month, and how you're going to put food on the table. On that note, guys, my name is Mkhitar. This is the Modeling Success Successfully channel. Thanks so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. Give a big like. I would appreciate you if you give a big like, and share this live stream out. Share it out. Thanks so much. You guys are awesome. Be well. Take care of yourself, and keep in mind, if you want something and you're not getting it, change the story. You change the story, your reality will change. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.